Donald Trump's second planned assassination. We have to cover it, friends. Deep state, UFO tech, money printing for crypto. It's all related. You remember when Donald Trump had the first assassination attempt from the gunman. I'm not even going to say lone gunman. It's very obvious he was working with other people. The gunman's house was wiped clean right before he went out. That's weird. Who goes and cleans their house and wipes them for fingerprints right before they go and try to assassinate a president? That's so weird. Weird. Come on, man. There are Fed agents everywhere, friends. It's very obvious. MK Ultra was just the start. They were doing it in the 60s. If they were giving LSD to people in 1956, which is what they were, the Coconut Intelligence Agency, and they were sending these men into brothels, and they were trying to test different truth serums, get them to do mind control, and a lot of these manipulation techniques. This was 60 or 70 years ago. Only God knows what they have now. And by the way, you know when the government overturned the Coconut Intelligence Agency, when they discovered about all the MK Ultra and everything had gone out, the Coconut Intelligence Agency, they destroyed 99% of their documents. So the stuff we found out, it was only 1 out of 100. 1 out of 100. So you can imagine of everything they found out, all the killings they did, all these, not just assassinations, mind control, drugs, all these backward stuff, all this evil stuff, there's 100 times more out there. Now, this photo is interesting itself from the first assassination, friends. This was taken by, I think, a lady on the stage, but there's another photo with Donald Trump, the bullet flying. Very interesting because the guy who took that photo of Donald Trump bullet, right? I'll actually show it to you right now. The Donald Trump bullet, friends, is fascinating because it was on a high frame camera. You see this bullet? Now, George Bush whispering, you know this meme picture? It was taken by the same photographer. You add up all of these, you think this is bullshit. You're telling me the guy who was obviously tipped off to record George Bush in a classroom and zoom into him like, hey, this is when he first got told, sir, the plane's gone down, right? The plan's going ahead. You're telling me that guy coincidentally went to a random Donald Trump rally, just sat there in the middle, and he put his camera to like do 3,000 frames per second just for this period. Come on, man. There's just one of the many things, friends. It's very obvious. Now, I'm going to just start by saying this. While I'll play some nice gentle angel music. This is the most important part. President JFK, John F. Kennedy, said many things against the deep state. He wanted to disband the military-industrial complex, but he actually said, I want to pull the troops out of Vietnam. Shot in the head a month later. Okay? You remember JFK, friends? Remember JFK? All those years ago. You remember these, okay? 1963. Obviously killed by the Coconut Intelligence Agency. Shout out to one of the baby dolls here. One of you guys left me a comment. I saw it. I think it was either on Twitter or on YouTube, but you said that your father was around when the assassination happened, and he asked his father, hey, how did the people just swallow up this narrative that a random dude, Oswald, like, shot JFK? And he's funny, he said his father goes, nah, public didn't believe it. They knew the government was involved. They just couldn't do anything. Which I was like, wow. They knew. They knew back then, just like we know now. They knew. So JFK says, I want to pull the troops out, gets shot a month later in the back of the head. Okay. Donald Trump, what was he saying earlier this year? He said, I will stop Russia-Ukraine war before my inauguration. So get me in that November-December period before I even get inaugurated, it's stopping. They shoot that water pistol at him. And now a second one. 2 planned assassinations at him. 2 of them. And if you think this is a coincidence, you need to get off your hormone blockers. You got it? These don't happen willy-nilly, friends. This is not a lone gunman thing, okay? And all the brainwashing, you can tell who's brainwashed because people think this stuff is staged. Look, you got to account for probabilities of that being staged, but the probability is stacked against you being staged. The probability is stacked on the side of people who believe that the same assassinations that are being attempted on people who want to do all the things that Donald Trump is against the establishment for is probably happening again, as it would. And by the way, many people predicted it. Everyone said, hey, it's leading up to this, the legal stuff, and then the media stuff, and then the accounting, the tax stuff just leads, and then finally try to put you in jail. No, you can't. Okay, there's only one thing left. Okay, now we got to go through the ultimate stopping path. Now, I played this to myself a few times. I was just in shock, friends. So the second assassin from the golf course, he is in a BlackRock commercial. There you go, Roca Negra. Right there. There he is. This is filmed by Azos. So it's not a commercial for Roca Negra, but it's funded by them. Interesting. Roca Negra signed the largest deal in Ukraine to essentially own the country's market. It's like they want more power and control up there. The second shooter was in that Ukraine war ad as well. So, I mean, this is just a start, friends. And then the first shooter was in an ad. So one of these assassins, he was in an advertisement. And I've got to remind you, when this first came out, there are a lot of Reddit soy boy cuck PsyOps on Twitter and Reddit who were saying that this is not the same kid. They're saying that this kid is a different person to the shooter. So it was obviously Coconut Intelligence Agency and the fancy banana investigator. It's obviously Deep State, friends. Deep State, the bot guys inside, they were trying to spam Twitter to try basically do disinformation to the public and lie to the public again and say, no, it's a different guy. It's not the same guy. It's all fabrication, blah, 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 blah. And then it exploded too much. Because, friends, you got to remember, they are living in a world where Facebook is like the source, their own source of truth, and they can regulate that, and YouTube as well. But they completely underestimate how much free information is flowing through Twitter. All of this information comes out on Twitter. All of it. Twitter's the place to be. Twitter is the place to be. That's why I'm also scared for Elon Musk, because if they try to come for him, okay, probably Israel's already got stuff on him as well with Elon. Who knows? You got a feeling, man. So this is what's obviously, these are no coincidences. Well, you think it's just a complete coincidence? Two guys who are just crazy lunatics. Have you been in a Roca Negra commercial? Answer me that. Also, shout out to baby doll Ian Carroll, who's been covering a lot of this, right?
So
really
the
cool.
Trump assassin just dropped, and there's some spicy details already. Ryan Ralph, very strange guy who's lived a very strange life. And this time, the internet was wise and archived all of his socials as much as possible before the FBI took it all down. So here's some basics on what we know about him, and one really interesting rabbit hole about who he might be. Right off the bat, though, it's super early. This is all speculation.
So let's go through, friends.
Recruiting on his Facebook page. Here's an archive of all of his tweets that look pretty damn automated to me. They pretty much all look like this. In a past life in Hawaii, he apparently ran this company that made a single tiny home and a single Facebook page and never did anything else with it. Super weird. But I grabbed everyone that he followed on Twitter before they deleted it. He only followed 60.
So that's really sus. He only followed 60 people. Okay, he only followed 60 people. And one of them just so happened to be a US intelligence officer for 36 years. Expert in terrorism, US extremism, dead Russians. He's a Ukraine supporter guy. So just 60 people following. One of them just so happens to be a 36 years experienced intelligence officer in Americana. Totally looks like a Fed agent. And then Ian goes on to explain as well, he's following this Sue Kim chick, ex-Coconut Intelligence Agency agent again. Come on, dude. Okay, you got 60 friends on the internet. 2 of them are Coconut Intelligence Agency operatives that you follow. Come on, man. That's weird. Do you have two friends, by the way, friend? Do you have two friends like that? Come on. So it's obvious as the sky is blue, the deep state has been sending assassins to kill Donald Trump. You got to remember his stances. Anti-World Economic Forum. Doesn't like our US Fed. Okay, now it's Jay Powell. He says, I'll fire you, but, firing someone, the US Fed, that's okay. They can replace another head. Ending up, friends, I'll tell you right now. Someone asked in the Twitter comments, why do they keep sending shooters who don't miss? Do you want them to send the shooter that won't miss? Do you want them to send an accurate shooter? Donald Trump's just got to say these words. If I'm elected president, I'm going to end the Fed. I promise you, friends, I'll put my hand on the Bible, they're not missing that. Then that third time, they're not missing. If he even dares to say end the Fed. Okay, so this second Trump assassin shooter was exposed. Everybody has as Ian said, they've saved all the archives because they learned from the first one. Mark Zuckerberg and all the other social media guys, they're all under control. There's Fed agent assets everywhere. All their information gets wiped. How do they have their information ready to go immediately? They've got everybody on file, man. Of course they do. There is no way in this world that there are people retarded enough to think that it's not a deep state at this point. Of course it's a deep state. Of course it's a deep state. We know it is. We know it is. So there are people really evil and powerful enough to get away with it because, 70% of the population is sheep. And the deep state, friends, I've explained it earlier. I'll explain for you again. The Middle East war specifically is a tornado cash for the US government. When I cover all my UFO, all the UFO techs, advanced techs, Skunk Works, Boeing, Wright-Patterson, all these other places where they have all the UFO tech. They've sometimes got alien bodies probably moving them around by now, right? How do they do all the research? How do they fund all these scientists? How do they do all these? They go through black budget, okay? But how do they go spend the stuff? Okay, black budget, where are you going to? Well, they need that tornado cash. In tornado cash in Ethereum, friends, it's a pool, and then everyone puts their ETH in, and then anybody can withdraw, and you don't know where it's going. It goes to a wallet, but you don't know who sent it, right? Because it's basically, it goes into a pool, and then it ends somewhere else. Well, it's the same thing with the Middle East. Middle East is, but you can't send money. You got to send a different form of money. You send tanks. You send ammo, right? You go and send stuff to them to disappear. That's what it is. Here's a jet plane. Don't you ever think it's a bit weird how America has these ships and jet planes that go through France and Australia and all these they get routed around. It's so obvious. Okay, we've got this $400 million. I've got to make a payment over here. I can't just send it to that country. We'll send these two jet planes to Australia. Let's just do a deal. You swap it to France. You go over there. It ends up, and then France does the negotiation thing to Turkey. Now it's 5 steps removed from Australia, from America. And then they can eventually, okay, we'll give you money for this. It separates around. Okay, pay us in, cash, or pay us in this and pay us in that. Whatever the hell it is, okay? They have their own methods. We don't know exactly what it is, but down the line, it goes dark. Okay, so, but, that's why Donald Trump's saying, I'm going to end that war. They're like, no, you're not. What do you mean end the war? We just got started. So they love this war stuff. Shout out to Mr. Gary Woods. Deep state needs a martyr. Closer to the election, the more risk Biden and Kamala also bear. To calm resulting chaos, even one of the lizard people might become president. Yes! There's always a puppet ready. We love Mr. FundingGym Gary as well. So, this is, look, when you go through these, friends, I know it's so obvious now. I mean, I didn't think we'd all be able to do this, but why are you able to do this? It's because I have less than 1 million subscribers, pretty much. When you have a number of people following, you become a target from the government. I'm not even joking. I don't even know if my code words would be able to get enough from it. I'm not even joking because I've seen now multiple examples. I mentioned in my news show, there was Praveen. Praveen, fans, as soon as he hit 1 million subs, he's just covering ancient Hindu reptilian nagas. Literally just reptilian nagas, ancient Hindu temples, ancient knowledge from 3,000 years ago. His videos are getting shadow banned. They're getting basically community noted, shadow banned. They're getting taken down. They're getting deleted. What are they hiding? What are they hiding? Obviously, whatever they're hiding, they don't want us to see. You know, is it the reptilian dudes themselves? Oh, we don't exist. I don't know. Is it somebody else? Do they look? The thing is, there's so many theories, and all of them could be true, because once you open the thought of, okay, wormholes are possible and anti-gravity tech is real and UFOs are real, once you open that, you're like, okay, you're just gonna do anything. They can beam images in your head to make you see stuff. So once you're in like that reality, now you're like, okay, what's even real? I don't know. Many people believe there is ancient techniques, maybe of moving heavy stones, manipulating sound. There's so many arrays of like where it can go here, but ultimately it comes down to power and control, right? If you don't want your other enemies to have the same advanced weapons that you do, that's what it comes down to. MSNBC, right? On the second assassination attempt, Trump had it coming. So I know everyone uses like these words and stuff coming out here, but you know, they throw these things out here to let you know we're watching. So that deep state, right? That second assassination attempt, clearly one of the most obvious corrupt things going on. Can we even do anything at this point? You know, America, Civil War, Revolution. That's why, like, if you're always curious, why do they keep missing if they're really planned? Drugs, mind control, manipulation, and first and foremost, though, they have to cover their own tracks because they can always send another assassin out. But if they screw up once and then the trail goes back to the Coconut Intelligence Agency, literally America flips it up overnight. That's why. So the risk of being caught is huge. That's huge, big risk if actually they find a paper trail. That's why they have to do a lot of, they can't just go like, hey, I'm from the Coconut Intelligence Agency. Okay, you will go shoot him at this time and then we're going to kill you after, put a bullet in your head. They can't do that, obviously. But they have a technique. They've got a strategy, right? They've obviously practiced it many times. They have a formula. That's the sad part. That's the scary part. They've been doing this for a while. Many other countries, they've been doing this. I won't even be surprised if someone comes out and puts a story together and they go, wait a minute, this Trump assassination guy is exactly like what happened, and they just put another country. Like, oh, in Mexico in 1996, there was a Coconut Intelligence Agency leak or someone PsyOps, and they ended up killing this guy through this method, similar. I won't be surprised if someone ends up finding a link and it's like the exact same mirroring of it. It's like, okay, the guy came here, he did this with, you know what I mean? So because they've practiced this before, they know exactly what they're doing. So what happens next? Are people going to raid stuff? We'll see. It doesn't make it easy when lizard-faced Mark Zuckerberg, remember friends, he came out saying, yeah, really, Trump's a badass. Yeah, I really like Trump. Full of poop. He's just lying scum weasel, friends. Don't trust him, okay? He's a scum. He deleted the Trump assassin Facebook within 2 hours. Obviously, friends, they literally have the informants are in the office. They're in the office. Same as mainstream media, by the way. Fox News, all of them, friends, all of them. I'm not joking. Doesn't matter. There's no Republican. I'm telling you. There are agents. There are Coconut Intelligence Agency links in all of the mainstream news. They control everything. You know how we know this? Ever since the 90s, early 2000s, there have been UFO stories that they start climbing, and someone on the executive teams of the boards, they kill the story. They stop it. So there's been things that gain traction and they cut it. That's what happens, right? Because it's always like maybe a little low-level journalist. They don't know anything what's going on. They cover this story. It starts gaining traction. There's more evidence. People talking about it. And then it starts rising up. They end the story, move it out. Yes, and it's not just newspapers. It's TV news networks as well. So it's very obvious now, right? A planned asset. And, you know, all this information is just coming out. All this censorship. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. What do we do? You know, without Twitter, man, we wouldn't be able to do this. I couldn't even do any research if we didn't have Twitter. Look where all the information's coming from, friends. We're all communicating on Twitter. Now, if you're worried, there actually is a final. There is an emergency alternative, and it's on Ethereum. Fartcaster. I think Fartcaster or Nostr, I think they are decentralized. I think. I'm not sure. There's probably some links out here, but we could eventually do it. But it would be slow. It would cost to tweet. But you could get the information out there. You could. But this free-flowing information, it's necessary because, 1,000 of us post, one guy's like really cool posting content. You know what I mean? And 999 is just everybody emojis and throwing stuff around. So you need that free-flowing type of information out here. But yes, that's the reality of the world we're living in right now. So where do we go from here? I mean, when you're dealing with nut jobs like this guy.
Volunteer center in Ukraine to help connect foreigners to Ukrainian military units.
Now I'm talking to over 100 soldiers every day, and pretty much everybody, all of my contacts in Ukraine, they were adamant and pretty much yelled at me every time that I suggested that we bring in Afghan.
The Ukrainian government didn't respond to our request for comment, but a source close to the officials in Kiev told Semaphore that their top concern is the question of loyalty in the thick fog of war.
The biggest thing is spies. They're afraid that anybody and everybody is a Russian spy.
Shout out to some bitch I know on X, who currently has one of the best archives of all of his socials and accounts.
Interesting, right? So there's because these guys, all these spies, they're all spying on each other. They're convinced everybody else is a spy. So it's literally everyone's just pointing the gun at each other 24/7. That's why they're probably eventually they're gonna have to come for crypto. They will come for crypto. They will. It's sad. It's like, oh, we're just a bunch of people talking without regulations. That's it. You mean like how society is meant to work? Free speech? Why do they want to stop it? They want to stop us doing research. I guess we'll see how this story plays out. Like, subscribe, catch you soon.